Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here in the wee hours of Monday morning. Not too long ago, I left Dirty Noble Field after watching Campbell and VCU play. Of course, Campbell wins that ball game. We hung around for post-game, got some post-game quotes from the Camels. It's a good ball game, very entertaining ball game. Also kind of indicative of where those two teams are pitching-wise, which is good news for Mississippi State. We're going to break down the weekend. We're going to look ahead to Monday's regional final game. I'm going to say game because I'm holding out a lot of hope that Mississippi State wins game one, so there's not a game two. One of the reasons why is I got a book release party downtown from 5 to 7 at Book Martin Cafe. So if you're in town after the ball game, come down. We can hang out. You can get the new book. We can say hello, take a picture, all that good stuff. If we have to play a second game, we're going to have to push it back a day. So I don't want to have to do that. Love to be able to meet you guys and have an opportunity to talk about the new book, Blooms of Oleander. If you can't make it to town, you can order from Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, or you can call Amelia Books or Book Martin Cafe, or even have your favorite bookstore order it for you. So looking forward to that. Before I get into the weekend, I want to give a shout out to a young Mississippi State baseball fan who was in town. And there's a couple things I want to share with you. I shared some of these things on Twitter, but I got some more information about some of this stuff, and I want to share it with you because I think it's important. So one of the great things about the regional is I have been able to go spend some time in the lounge because game day is a work day for me. And so when the Bulldogs are playing, I'm in the press box. We got to run down lineups and that sort of stuff, do a play-by-play, got articles and that sort of stuff. So with these regionals, when we're not playing, I've been out there hanging out with my friends Johnny Hayes and Stomp and Hobie and other people like that and making new friends, having a great time. Got to meet some of you guys out there. A lot of you guys came up, said hello, told me how much you enjoyed the show. I said it then, I'll say it now. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. I put a lot of effort into all of this, the articles, the books, the show, all that good stuff, man. I love what we do. I don't even feel like it's work. I mean, some days I do. Some days, like today, wake up around 6:30. I'm thinking there is no way I'm getting up at 6:30 when we don't have a ball game to go to anytime soon. Went back to bed, slept a few more hours. Happy to do it. Got to get this thing done. Got to get an article written, and I got to get up to do radio, and then get back to Dirty Noble Field. And I'm not complaining. I love what we do. But sometimes it's nice to be able to have a little time to go out to the lounge and be with my friends and kind of enjoy the experience and, enjoy a ball game that I'm not emotionally invested in. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, when State's playing, I'm on the edge of my seat, covering the game or not. I try not to cheer in the press box, but, it's one of those things I'm saying. It's like, it's nice because I love college baseball. One of the things that I love most about college baseball is I think it brings out the best in us. I spent basically this whole weekend hanging out with some of the Campbell baseball players that didn't make the travel roster. And that's a big disappointment for those guys. But they're still here to support their team, cheer for their friends. And I've gotten to know them and many of their parents. And, man, it's wonderful, man. I'm really happy we're playing them in a regional final. Now, listen, as I told them tonight before I left, I said, guys, I love you guys to death. I hope you leave here with a whooped tail, but a great attitude. I hope you leave here feeling like you had a great experience since you loved Mississippi State. A couple of those guys joked and said, hey, Steve, if you can hook us up, man, we'll hit the transfer portal. Of course, I'm not interested in any of that kind of stuff. But, man, it's been a great weekend. And the weekend's not over for us yet. We still got some business to attend to due to some weather. But being out there in the lounge, kind of allows you to reconnect and reminds you of the greatness of Mississippi State baseball fandom. We have some amazing people that feed an army of people they don't know. All because we all share a love for college baseball, and in most cases Mississippi State. It's wonderful. But there was a young man by the name of Kane Sandridge out of Madison that did something super cool, and I got some more information about this little exchange tonight. But Kane is a 12-year-old Bulldog, from what I understand, and he was at the game with some friends. And there was a young man from Campbell that hit a home run. And shortly after that ball landed, Kane ends up in possession of the home run ball. And listen, I mean, how rare is that? You go to a college ball game or a major league ball game and you get a souvenir for free because of the fact that, hey, you just happened to be in the right place at the right time. You get a souvenir. I understand he was very happy to have it. Pretty cool thing. He got a home run ball. Well, he didn't keep it. And here's what happened. So here's the cool thing about it. And I don't know if you guys have kept up at all with, this group here. Zach Neto, we had talked about him on the show. We previewed the regional. He is from Miami, Florida. Zach is a freshman and has had an incredible freshman year there for Campbell. Starting at the shortstop, and some of his teammates told me, back during the fall, they said, this kid's going to have a future, but he's not going to be a starter this year. They get in the spring. He kind of was a slow starter in the spring, and then all of a sudden he picks it up. He becomes a dude. Through today's games, he's hitting .408 as a freshman with 12 dingers, 58 ribbies. Leads the team in home runs. Starts at shortstop. I mean, just a dude being a dude. So he hits the home run, from what I'm told, and his uncle is there and asks young Kane, hey, listen, that's my nephew to hit that home run. Do you mind if I have the ball? And Kane Sandridge gave him the baseball. And I'm told he did it with a smile on his face and says, like, hey, here. There was not a moment's hesitation. But then the uncle says, hey, let me pay you for the ball. The kid wouldn't take any money. And I understand later on that Neto's parents were like, hey, let's get a signed ball, for Kane. I don't know if that happened. And listen, if you guys know the Sandridge family, I'd love to know that he actually got the baseball, especially since he didn't ask for it. But I think it's wonderful, and it speaks well of Mississippi State. And so one of the Campbell girlfriends, baseball girlfriends, tells me that his family, that Zach Neto's family, has every home run ball he's ever hit, with the exception of one. And it's signed by Zach with the date, with the score, who they played, all the details, and it's in a little case on their mantle. I think it was home run number 2 this year they didn't get. And so I thank Kane for not being that guy that kept the home run ball, especially for a freshman. It's one like, I'm sure Brent Rooker, hit so many home runs, it was kind of old hat, to get a baseball. But you know what? For a freshman, playing in an SEC stadium in an NCAA regional, that's a really big deal. So, Kane, here's what I'm going to do for you. You have somebody reach out to me, and if you haven't got them already, I'm going to send you a signed copy of a book. You can pick whichever one you want. I'm going to send it to you for free. I'll ship it to you for free. Not because you asked for anything, but because you deserve something. And I think it's absolutely incredible that you did this for somebody you didn't even know, because it was the right thing to do. And so, for you being a great Bulldog, I've got a couple of books pretty much exclusively about Mississippi State sports. Starkville and Alpha Dogs. Got 7 baseball stories in Alpha Dogs, including a chapter on Jake Bankham. So you pick out which book you want. I will send it to you free of charge because I want to reinforce this behavior. I think these are great things that happen, and college baseball is just a little bit different. There's another story I want to read to you, too, before we get into the show too deeply. Something that happened at Arkansas, and I can't verify this is true or not, but I want to read it to you anyway, because if there's enough of it that's true, I think it makes it even more wonderful. So the following story was shared on an Arkansas fan forum. So again, I can't vouch for the complete accuracy of this, but it is an incredible story. And again, I hope this is 100% correct. I know many of you don't like Arkansas. I got a lot of respect for Arkansas. I want to beat them, right? I hate them when they beat us, but I respect them. I do. They love baseball just as much as we do. They don't have a stadium as nice as ours, but they did love college baseball. So a guy named Isaac Trotter shared this on hogville.net. And it's about NJIT. That's a New Jersey Institute of Technology. Made the NCAA tournament field for the first time in program history. And so here's the story. A team without a baseball field of their own came from New Jersey to play the number 1 team in the country. They gave Arkansas everything they had, but came up short. You may recall that ball game ended 13-8. NJIT actually had the lead early on. NJIT played Northeastern today, and the Hog fans showed up wearing their T-shirts. When Northeastern made pitching changes, NJIT called the Hogs with Razorback fans. When they loaded the bases, Hog fans put their beer hats on, and the NJIT fans held their beers on top of their heads. When their pitcher punched the last guy out for the win, a team who has never heard a stadium roar got to hear a pretty good one. That's baseball. That is an outstanding story. And again, I hope every word is true. That's the thing. We always talk about all the things in life that are such, factors of division. Whether it be politics or religion or, other things. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're born with that we don't even get to choose that some people use to divide us with. And so college baseball is a little different. College basketball sometimes it's very frenetic. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, it's difficult to relax and enjoy the game. Football in some respects is like that, even though it's a much longer game and there's a little pause every now and again. But in football, it's like we all hate each other. College baseball is different. It's more conversational. It's more of a laid-back game. A lot of times the fans are a little more laid back. But these two stories, I think, are indicative of what college baseball fans are about and should be about. It's about each other. And listen, I want Mississippi State to beat every team that comes into Duke Noble Field. And I want us to beat every team that we visit. I want us to win every game, every time out, decisively. Doesn't always work that way, though. But, maybe just being a college baseball parent at one time myself, maybe I've got a different appreciation for that. And I don't think that it's germane to that. I don't think you have to have that to appreciate the fact that college baseball is different. And there's so many friends that the only time I see them is in the lounge. Like all year long, it's like you get busy and that sort of stuff, and then you want to get together, you want to connect. It doesn't work out. And sometimes I think I live an impossible schedule. So I went out there today and hung out with Johnny and those guys. As a matter of fact, I've been there, at least one game for 3 days now. And it reminds me of how great we are as college baseball people, and especially Mississippi State people. One of my best friends in the world came and spent part of the day with me on Saturday. He hadn't been to the new dude yet. He came up. I hooked him up with some of my friends in the lounge and said, listen, I got to go cover the ball game. Y'all take care of him. So he texts me on the road home and says, hey, listen, I'll be back next year, but I'm buying season tickets. That's the kind of thing we are, man. What we have is great. What we have is special. We are part of a very unique fraternity as college baseball folks. And so I don't think we should ever take that for granted. So I wanted to share those things because I think it is so easy to get caught up in all of the clickbait nonsense, and there's always people sensationalizing sports stories to make it look like things are worse than they really are. We need to celebrate the goodness around us, and that's what I wanted to do today. All right, let's jump into the show. Brought to you by the fine folks at Bulldog Burger Company. Then Bulldog Burger Company is off and running there in Ridgeland. I've got so many great reports, and people said, you know what, Steve, we went in, and it's great. Just as good as it was in Starkville and Tupelo. Consistency, incredibly, incredibly good. They're going to be open for lunch and dinner this week. I understand last week it was dinner only. They're going to do both meals, and then for the duration. That's how it's going to be, lunch and dinner. So it's now a full-service place, right? So you're on University Drive here in Start Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, and then, of course, Lake Harbor Drive there in Ridgeland. Really happy for you folks in central Mississippi to get a chance to go. And I've had people say, hey, Steve, I rode by there, and they were absolutely rocking. That's great to hear. Because I think sometimes Bulldog Burger Company is a treat for you guys. Maybe you get to go once, twice a year. Now you've got it right there in your backyard. You can go whenever you want to. You can go once a week. You can go every day if you want to. You got a Bulldog Burger Company of your own. Really, really happy for you guys. And go by there and stop and see Ian. Ian's my buddy. Ian Few is the manager there at Ridgeland. Let him know that I sent you. Tell him that I said, hey, Steve Robertson told me to come by here and tell you hello. That'll mean a lot to him. We're very good friends. And he is a great guy that will do a great job for all you guys down there. Did a great job here in Starkville. Go by, have the spring rolls. And it's funny, speaking of spring rolls, I had a guy from Brookhaven that stopped me this weekend and showed me a picture. And he had a special needs kid, and I wish I could remember his name. I really do. I apologize. And he showed me a picture we took together during the Starkville's book tour. And said that he loves the show. And then they went to Bulldog Burger Company, and he just devoured the spring rolls. So, young man, again, I apologize for not remembering your name. I talked to a lot of people this weekend. But thank you so much for listening to the show. And thanks for being a fan of Bulldog Burger Company. Everybody should be. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. MEAT. So we're going to start talking about our regional, and then we'll spend some time talking about other regionals and kind of how things look around the country. As you guys are aware, there has been one national seed eliminated from competition. That's TCU. They were, it's one of those things, too, I go back to. I know the committee has to kind of make decisions based on the body of work, and I just felt that TCU probably came in a little bit too high at 6 because of how they ended the season. Yeah, they had a pretty good run there in the Big 12 tournament, but, was it 3 losing weekends in a row, including one to UL Monroe, and now they're out. And so the trend continued. So it goes to show you that late season swoon was not an anomaly. They were in a lot of trouble. So Mississippi State still playing. Texas Tech has already won their regional. They'll move on. And again, we'll get more into that later in the show. But I want to talk a little bit about our weekend. So we play first against Samford, and we throw Will Bednar. And for some reason, that was a controversial decision for some people. I kind of had some lead time on that to kind of warm up to that. But here's the deal, and I don't say this to be critical of anybody else, but if we don't throw Will Bednar, we might lose that ball game. I know some people said, it doesn't matter who we throw. No, it matters. It's a big stage, big crowds, big stakes. You need to throw some guys that have already had some skin in the game. And Will Bednar does. And we kind of got punched in the mouth early there. I mean, it's crazy to think about. We have the SEC tournament and how awful that was. And we think, maybe we're going to have a little hangover. And, Max Penta comes out there and takes the first pitch of the ball game and puts it into the right field bleachers. And so I think all of you were thinking, oh, my gosh, our nightmare is coming true. We really are bad. No, we're not bad. We're an elite team. We're an elite program. It's time to embrace that. Stop having to explain away our success. But we get down 1-0. But Bednar battles right back. Strikeout swinging. We get a foul out outside of third. Then we give up a single and then a strikeout swinging. And, I don't know if you remember how the box score looked, but Samford didn't have a whole lot after that first inning. They really didn't. We come out and get that run right back. Rowdy with a double, and Rowdy is having an amazing weekend. He will absolutely make the all-regional team. I mean, there's nobody more locked in than Rowdy Jordan. It's so great to see, especially him at the top of the order. And this is closing time for Rowdy. I've read some mock drafts don't even have Rowdy in it. And so he needs to kind of play his way in, or, Rowdy may have a decision to make. Who knows? We'd love to have him back, but I know he wants to move on and play some pro ball. And so him having a good postseason is probably an important part of that discussion. Then TA gets a single, and we got, runners on first and third, and, TA takes still second. Cam James grounds out to third. We get to run home. Cam James having a pretty good weekend himself. So it's a 1-1 ball game. We get out of that. And then Bednar comes back. It's a 1-2-3 inning. I take that back. That's wrong. We have a hit by pitch. We get a strikeout. Then we turn a double play. So we faced a minimum there. We get into the bottom of second. This is when State begins to separate a little bit. Cumbus hits an absolute laser to third baseman. He bodies it up, but just can't make a play. People forget how fast Brad Cumbus is. You don't expect a guy that size to get down the line as well as he does. But he did. He hits an absolute rocket to third. Guy can't field it clean, and he's in there safe. Kellum Clark then singles on an 0-2 pitch. Drives that ball into right field. And then Lane Forsythe, this is, again, we got runners at first and third here, and Forsythe taps it back towards the mound on 2-0 pitch. Now, granted, we got to get a little better contact on 2-0, but listen, Cumbus has got to read this a little bit better. A lot of people say, well, it's a call play. Why are we going on contact? You're not just going on contact. You're going on a downward angle. But you got to make sure it's through. That's twice this year Brad's been thrown out there at the plate on that. Neither of those have been close. But, that's something that's got to get better. So then Rowdy comes up, and, we get a single. And now the bases are loaded. We got a chance to blow this game open. And how many times have we thought that? Okay, we got bases loaded, less than 2 outs. Let's just give me one big hit here. Give me one big hit so I can feel good about life and breathe a little bit. We've struggled at times to do that. TA then pops up to the shortstop. Infield fly, and you're thinking, man, here we go. Here we go again. We load him up, and we can't get the big hit. Well, Cam James works a count, gets a walk, drives in a run. Luke Hancock comes up, singles in the right field, makes it a 4-1 ball game. I think at that point everybody started feeling better because it felt like Bednar was kind of settling in too. So we're beginning to separate. Bednar settling in. I think everybody was enjoying a nice night a nice afternoon of baseball there at Duty Noble. 1-2-3 inning there for Sanford in the third. We go 1-2-3 in the third. Get to the fourth. You get the play-by-play is missing a couple things here, but you end up getting a fly out, and then a K swinging. So minimal traffic on the bases through second, third, and fourth. Bottom of fourth, State tacks on another run. It all gets started again. Rowdy Jordan with a one-out double, and then he steals third. And stole it so beautifully. The pitcher never looked at him, and the catcher never even attempted to throw because he had such a running jump there. There was no chance to get him whatsoever. Then T.A. grounds out to second, drives in the run. It's a 5-1 ball game, and I think at that point people are thinking, you know what, Steve? Maybe we should have thrown somebody different. Maybe we should have saved Bednar for the weekend. I honestly think the reason it was the 5-1 ball game when it was is because Bednar was on the mound. I don't think anybody else is quite ready for that. All right, so they strike right back. 1-1 count, Dreyer hits a bomb to make it a 5-2 ball game, and then things get a little interesting from there. We get a ground out to second, we get a fielding error on the pitcher, and it's just one of those things, Will just can't quite get there and then tries to scoop it with his glove, flips it out of bounds, flips it into foul territory. And then we give up a double down the line. There's runners at second and third, and we're all kind of sweating a little bit. And then Max Pinto, again, comes in as a good job for them, has a fly out to right field, and there's a sac fly. It's a 5-3 ball game. Well, then we have a walk, and they try to run the double steal. We had actually snuffed it out. And I don't know what Scott Foxhall saw, or if he picked it up something in the signals. I don't know if it was a situation that they just said, hey, you know what, it's first and third with 2 outs. This has been in their tendencies. Let's be prepared for this. Fox runs out there, and then the very next pitch, they try to run that delayed steal where they try to get the second baseman, USU Triple SA baseball play. Let's go out there and get in a rundown between first and second, let the run come home. Well, we don't record the out, but we don't give up the run. And so the damage is kind of mitigated there. So, yeah, they have runners at second and third, but we haven't allowed them to take a run from us. And then, lo and behold, we get a strikeout swinging. So it's a pretty big moment in the ball game there. I'm not sure they would have caught us, but 5-4 feels a lot different in the middle innings than 5-3 does. We get a single at the middle, we ground into a double play, and then DeBrule lines out, makes it a 5-3 game. And it really felt like perhaps Sanford had a little juice here. It's like they get the double play, they get out of the jam, they scored a couple runs last half inning. They open up the sixth with a double down the left field line. They're right back to work. But then we get a fly out, a strikeout, and a ground out, and the inning's over. And then you start looking up the scoreboard thinking, how much longer can Bednar go? Well, thankfully, we gave him a little insurance. It probably gave him a little more room to go out there and have some confidence. Say, you know what, I've got a bigger lead here. I can kind of focus on challenging hitters, and maybe we don't have to go to the bullpen quite so early. And we didn't. Compass rips a double in the left. They changed pitchers, and this is when things really started getting cool here. Kellum Clark absolutely murdered a ball to right field, but he was right at the right fielder, and he almost missed it. Compass goes to third, and then Forsythe flies out to right. Sac fly, run score, 6-3. And again, there's the bottom third of your order providing some length in the lineup. I like this Kellum Clark, Brad Compass thing. I really do. I really, really do. And it's worked out. Got a couple of rallies started with that bottom third of the order, and then there's Forsythe coming through with the productive out to get the run home. It's just good team baseball. Top of 7, Will's still out there, and of course with a 3-run lead, if he's feeling good, yeah, you got to stick with that. But again, there's a leadoff hit, and then we force a guy, right? We get a fielder's choice there. And then we get Pinto swinging. I don't think Pinto saw a first fastball the rest of the weekend. And then, again, we force a guy there in the middle infield. We get out of it, so they kind of waste the leadoff single there. We get into the 7th, and, again, we're starting to get some separation. It's closing time, and that's one of the things about this team that at times they've been very good at. When we get into the later innings and it's time to kind of separate, we've been pretty good at having a little killer instinct. Haven't always had it, but at times we've had that. We had it on Friday. So we open up with a leadoff single from Tanner Allen, and Cam James is hit by the pitch. Luke Hancock singles to the right side, drives in a run at 7-3. Tanner lines out to left field. Cam James tags and scores. Now it's an 8-3 ball game. you really feel like it's over at this point. And then Hatcher pinch runs for Hancock. We grind into a double play, third of the night. Got to do a bit better job with that. So we get into the eighth, and again, Bednar's back out there. Excuse me. We bring in Preston Johnson for Will Bednar. And the very first pitch is a home run from Teixeira, who is he is a freak of nature, man. I mean, you see that big guy out there, and you think this guy's not athletic at all. But you know what? You groove a fastball to him, and he will put you on SportsCenter. Listen, they barely got over the fence, but it was quite the welcome. So both of our first two pitchers on Friday night, the first pitch they throw ends up being points for the other team. Then he gets McManus a strikeout looking, and then gets a fly out and a pop up and get out of the inning. So it's an 8-4 ball game with 3 outs to go for us. You get into the bottom of 8. We don't do much here, and we have some opportunities though. Cumba strikes out swinging, and then Clark doubles down the right field line. So now you got a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs, and you got Forsythe and Rowdy coming up. Forsythe strikes out looking on 3 pitches, and that's been a recurring theme. I'm not going to beat the kid up for that though, because that's only going to come in time. I mean, it's about pitch selection, and it's about getting ABs, and that's something Gautreaux is going to fix. And I don't know if you heard too, but Jed Gautreaux has removed his name for consideration for the job at Rice. Some would say, well, Steve, I didn't know he was a serious candidate. Well, he's going to be a serious candidate for jobs just like that. Don't know if he's going to take them, but that one's officially behind us. So Rowdy then flies out on the very first pitch. And so we head to the ninth, and we don't bring in Landon Sims. And I know many of you are thinking, the very first time that we have some trouble, we should go ahead and bring in Sims. We bring in Stone Simmons. So Preston Johnson goes 1 inning. He's good. He can return and pitch. Stone Simmons gets in the ninth, does a great job for us. And listen, Stone's going to be around a little while too. I don't rule Stone Simmons out from being a guy that's a real factor on the weekends next year. So he gets a ground out to first, the very first pitch. We get a ground out to first, 4 pitches later. We do issue a 2-out walk, but we get Pinto swinging to end the ball game. So it's an 8-4 ball game. Very, very efficient with everything we did. Played pretty well defensively. We did have just the one error, and that was on Bednar, and that was just kind of one of those wild plays. I don't fault him for that at all, especially as well as he pitched. But State 8 runs on 11 hits, limited them to 4, and 3 of those came on home runs. That's the thing. When we don't walk people, we don't commit errors and give people extra outs. Listen, getting 3 outs is part of the game. When you have to get 4, that's part of losing the game. We didn't do that. We did a really good job of kind of minimizing that sort of stuff. And so, again, you give up a couple long balls, but you kind of knew that coming in. That's why it was so important to throw Bednar. And I know some still think, we shouldn't have done that. We absolutely should have. We absolutely should. And now he's on schedule to start game 1 of a super if we can make it to that point. And for those of you wondering, the dates and selections for supers, of course, if we win, we host, right? We don't really care what happens to everybody else. But there are some out there, obviously, like the South Florida, South Alabama thing. When either one of those were host sites, they're going to have to play on a neutral site, which will have to be one of the 16 regional sites, right? Could be right back there in Gainesville. Could be. So that's all going to be decided Tuesday night. So if we win this regional, and we certainly expect to, then we will find out Tuesday night that we're playing Notre Dame, who won, but we'll know if it is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday deal or a Saturday, Sunday, Monday deal. So we'll find that out very, very quickly.
Most people only see their doctor a few days each year. For all the other days, there's CVS Health Hub, where you can see a provider, fill a prescription, and grab the essentials you need in just one trip, even on evenings and weekends. For care between doctor visits, from earaches to help with diabetes or sleep apnea, visit your local CVS Health Hub today. That's healthier, made easier. Services vary by location. See cvs.com/healthhub for details.
All right, let's get into game 2. And listen, this was one of those big things too. I was really proud of Christian McLeod for how he handled himself when we had a little adversity. I'm a Christian McLeod fan. I mean, I think there is some greatness in this guy. Now, he's got some things that he's got to figure out. And I think he'll develop a lot more in the minors. But Christian's an intelligent guy. He understands the game. there are times that I have wondered a little bit about toughness. I don't mean physical toughness. I mean just mentally. When you don't have your best stuff, can you power through? When you have some adversity, can you bounce back and get your team out of an inning? And all of that was really tested in that ball game on Saturday against VCU. And for those of you who don't remember, VCU beat Campbell 19-4 on Friday night. And then social media kind of lit up, and some of our fans began to kind of panic and say, hey, I'm worried about this game. Oh, okay, I understand that. But some of that has nothing to do with VCU and nothing to do with Mississippi State. It's got a lot to do with you, though. And the thing that I pointed out to several people is once things got out of hand for Campbell, they waved the white flag pretty early. Rather than, waste quality arms to try to nurse this game along, again, they were going to lose. They said, you know what, I'm going to throw a freshman here, I'm going to throw a freshman there. I'm going to get some work for some of these guys down in the depth chart so we can manage the game and get through here. And a lot of that, guys, was just center-cut fastballs. And, VCU is a team that can swing the bats pretty well, and they took full advantage. I mean, it hit some absolute jacks. And so I just thought, that's not how Christian's going to pitch. Christian's not going to go out there and throw center-cut fastball. You know what? He may leave one up every once in a while, and his way they swing it, they may poke one or two out. We just got to make sure they're solo home runs like we did against Sanford rather than giving them, 2 and 3 runners an inning and then giving up a big fly. But Christian did his job. And I really thought he showed some toughness that he hadn't always demonstrated. That's big for Mississippi State. That's really big. How big is it to have Bednar and McLeod kind of rounding into postseason form right when we need them to be? And let me just go ahead and share this with you too. For those of you that maybe aren't ready to admit it, listen, we did not go over to Hoover and bring our best effort. We were not exposed as a baseball team. We just didn't go over there and play well. And the fact that we threw well Bednar in relief in Game 2 should tell you that we were just ready to come home. Now, I don't expect anybody to admit that, but it's pretty apparent at this point, to me, that those games in Hoover didn't mean anything to us in the grand scheme. Well, we could have moved to another one more spot. Yeah, maybe we would be the 6th seed, right? I like exactly where we are. And my hope is that some of these guys have maybe pushed you guys to have a little more faith in them. All right, so let's jump in here into the game against VCU. Of course, many of you saw my tweet. I had the opportunity to go to postgame, for both of those ball games, and I always try to put out, kind of what the teams had to say about us. I'll do that when they get done with the show. And here you can read what Campbell had to say over on Gene's page about Mississippi State. But Vay, the catcher for VCU, he said, "Hey, Mississippi State's a good team. We've won 22 in a row. They better come out ready to play." And many of you have kind of jumped on that. He said it. I even had some people said, "Steve, why did you share that?" Well, he said it. He said it on video. It wasn't like some private conversation where he's like, "Hey, man, between me and you." No, he says it in a public forum. There's no responsibility that I have in that matter. He said it. I asked the question. I said, "What do you think of Mississippi State as a program? What do you think about them as a ball club?" "Well, I think they're a great team, but they better bring it." That's what he said, basically. So, don't be upset with me. Be upset with him. He said it. And I don't have a problem with him saying it. They had won 22 in a row. They had just beaten a team 19-4 in an NCAA regional. I'd be feeling my oats a little bit too. Now, all of a sudden, I get a chance to play the host school, and they didn't look very impressive against Sanford. They looked good enough to win, but I didn't see anything from Mississippi State against Sanford that scared me. I'm sure that's how he felt. I got no problem with him saying it. But you got to go back it up. It's like Jenny Lane wrote once. Big talk is just talk, unless you're backing it up. All right, so we get into the first there, and this is where I got a little bit worried about Christian because it seemed like we were getting behind hitters. We're having big counts early. We walked the very first hitter, and we get a strikeout looking. So it's like we pitch around it, and you could tell he had pretty good stuff. I don't know that he had full command of the fastball early, but the breaking ball looked to be pretty good, and he was able to spot his changeup a little bit too. So we get in the bottom of one, and we give him some room to operate. Rowdy with an infield hit. TA strikes out, and then Cam James, double. Runners at second and third, now less than 2 outs, and you feel like, you know what, at the very least we'll get a run home here. And then Hancock grounds out, we get a run home, 1-0. Logan Tanner then rips a single into left field, makes it a 2-0 ball game. So now, again, we're off and running. We had a chance to kind of blow that thing open a little bit more there in the first. But you know what? If you're going to get 2 runs in the first, I think you feel pretty good about life. We give up a leadoff jack in the second. It's almost like I began to think, you know what, sometimes we just can't stand prosperity. It's like we give up, we get 2, and we give a run right back. So 2-1, but then Christian really settles down. Ground out at second, K. We're done. Give up the 1 tank, and you know what? When I got a lead, when I got 2 or 3 run lead, I want my pitcher challenging the hitters anyway. So we get bottom of second, we get our run right back. We do get a ground out, and we get a strikeout swinging. But then Rowdy, again, there's Mr. Postseason. There's Mr. June, Rowdy Jordan, with a double to right. Then T.A. singles to the left side. Rowdy scores. It's a 3-1 ball game. Top of third. And this is when Christian began, I really believe, began to show some real serious mental toughness. I think it was a beautiful thing to see. It was very painful in the beginning for all of us. So he starts the inning with 9 straight balls, and so there's 2 walks right there. You walk Brown, you walk Carpenter. So you walk the 9-hole hitter and the leadoff guy. So you got the heart of the order coming up, and Christian McLeod says, "Okay, cool, I got you." So after throwing 9 straight, he gets Locklear swinging on a 2-2 pitch. He gets Hibbets swinging on 3 pitches. He gets Henson swinging on 4 pitches. It was a comeback I don't know that we'll see very often, because those 9 pitches that started the inning, many of them were non-competitive. There were a couple that went to the screen or should have gone to the screen. There were some pitches that were lacked a competitive edge to them. There's nobody going to swing at those pitches. And so the fact that he could dial it back in and then get out of that thing without even giving up a run, it's insane to think about. And from there, he was really in good shape for a while. We probably left him in a hit or 2 long. But I don't have a big quarrel with that. We'll get to that a little bit later. State doesn't tack on here. We get a leadoff walk, hit it to double play, and ground out. So we give them the minimum in the third. Christian comes right back out, 1-2-3 inning there in the fourth. Really did a nice job. Bottom of 4, State begins to get some separation here. This is when we start feeling good about life. Brad Cumbus hits the first pitch, the bottom of 4, into the left field lounge. It was an absolute tank. And then Clark gets ahead 1-0 and hits an absolute Ruthian Dave Kingman quality blast out to right field. They brought in Griffin in place of Mason Delane. So the first 3 pitches he threw, 2 of them were home runs. Forsythe grounds out to short, hit the ball really well though. Really barreled it up there. Just hit it to the shortstop. Simple as that. Rowdy then gets a walk, and then T.A. doubles. Now you got runners in second, third. We got a chance again, big hit to kind of put the game away. Had him on the ropes here. Cam strikes out swinging, and then Luke flies out to right center. But not going to hate on Cam. Again, he's having a good weekend, and we got more to say about him a little bit later in the show. Top of 5, Cam comes back out, immediately gets 2 outs. Again, very efficient on 2-0 count, 0-2 count. He's not wasting pitches here. Carpenter singles back up the middle, and then we get Locklear swinging. So we're absolutely cruising along here now. We had that one little hiccup there in the third, but now it's back-to-back innings where it really felt like Christian was in cruise control. So we get a leadoff walk in the 5th. DeBrule then gets a infield hit. It was a ball hit out in the outfield grass, and they were kind of shifted over that way, and the guy just couldn't make a play. Scotty's going to be safe anyway. He throws it, which allows everybody to move up. And then they hit Cumbus by the pitch. And so now bases are loaded, nobody outs, and Kellen Clark comes up, and then he walks. Makes it a 6-1 ball game. They go ahead and make a change, and then Forsythe infield fly out to the second baseman. And so, on that Clark walk, of course, it's a 6-1 ball game. But again, a big hit here, and it really changes the landscape of this game. And we didn't get it. It's like We did a little bit later in the ball game, but this felt like a real crucial time. And, yeah, we're ahead, and our pitcher's throwing really well, but, at some point we're going to have to pull him. And you can never score enough runs on an NCAA regional. You just can't. So we get into the sixth, and so they get a leadoff single, and then we get a K, we get a fly out, and then there's another single, and this is when Christian's well over 100 pitches. I don't know if you bring him back out for the sixth, but I want to back up just a little bit here. You give up the leadoff single. A lot of people are thinking, let's give him one hitter. He gets a full count, and then he doesn't give in, but can't finish the guy. So there is a single. But then we get the K on 3 pitches, and then we get that fly out. So it's that's the guy that hit the home run too. It's Schroeder. So there's 2 outs in the inning. So we're 1 pitch away from getting out of this thing. And so then we give up the single to Vay. This is when I would have got him right here because he got deep in the count, couldn't finish him, and gives up a run there, makes it a 6-2 ball game. That's when I would have got him. And, of course, it's a gift of hindsight because, if he gets a pop-up instead of a home run here, it's a 6-2 ball game. But instead, there is a home run, and it was an absolute shot into left. That made it 6-4. We bring in Brandon Smith, and he gives up a double, but then we get a K to get out of it. But yeah, we can with the gift of hindsight, we can say, yeah, he stayed in the hitter too long, maybe 2. But the bottom line is we were able to overcome that. I know we're trying to preserve the bullpen there, but yeah, I probably would have got him a little sooner. But again, in the moment, I don't know if I'm feeling that. All right, bottom of 6. We basically end the ball game right here. We needed a big hit. We got several. 6-4 to start this half inning, and when it was over with, the game was decided. So Cam James opens with a single back up the box. Hancock then walks. Logan Tanner walks to load the bases. So we're back in this situation again. A couple times we've walked in a run, but we haven't been able to get that knockout punch. DeBrew then singles to right field, drives in a run. Bases loaded again. Cumbus hit by the pitch, drives in a run, 8-4. Clark reaches on a fielding error, run scores, base loaded again, 9-4. Forsythe strikes out swinging, 2-2, and then Rowdy Jordan singles, driving in 2 runs. There's your big hit. That's the one, 11-4. And Rowdy takes second on a wild pitch. TA singles in the left, 2 more runs scored. Now it's 13-4. Then Cam James hits a bomb into left center for 2 more. And we bat around in the inning and remove all doubt about who was there to play. We could have pulled a student out of the stands and pitched the rest of this ball game. VCU, for all intents and purposes, they were done. We get a 1-2-3 inning from Brandon Smith. That's not correct. Again, I apologize for that. We get a ground out, we give up a single, we roll a double play. And that's kind of Brandon Smith's game. He's our sinker ball pitcher, gets great sink on the fastball. And so it makes sense sometimes to come in and bring him in with some inherited runners because he can roll up ground balls for you. He does in this situation here. And so we head to bottom of 7. Not much happens for us. We get a ground out, a fly out, and a ground out to first. And again, that's kind of the tail end of your order there. We get to the 8th, and it just seemed like that, it was just a matter of kind of getting the game over. And I was just hoping we could get through it without having to burn another arm. And so Henson grounds out to third. Cam is on it immediately. Great play there. Schroeder singles at the middle. Wild pitch, a walk, and you think, let's just get out of here, right? And so we give him a fly out to get the second out, and then we get a strikeout swinging to end the 8th. And it did seem like Brandon was tiring just a little bit, starting to give a little more contact. But again, we don't have to go to Landon Sims, right? Bottom 8. Forsythe flies out at center, actually hit it pretty well. Rowdy Jordan pops up to second. TA walks and then comes around, still second. And there's a wild pitch, allows him to go to third, and then he comes in and scores on another wild pitch. And so 16-4 ball game, and we bring in Parker Stinnett. And I was happy to see this because he's a guy that needed some work, but also, too, it's 16-4, so let's not go throw a guy that we necessarily have to throw in a regional final. Let's go ahead and let him get some work, but also, too, kind of preserve some other arms. And so he goes out there and is absolutely an electric factory. Gets Gets Brown to strike out swinging, gets Carpenter to strike out swinging, and Ryan to strike out swinging. So he strikes out the side of the ninth. The game is over. Mississippi State's now in a winner's bracket. It set up a loser's bracket match between VCU and Campbell, a rematch. So really happy with the effort. And I think when you go back and look at these numbers, you'll see, we played real efficiently in this ball game too. 16 runs on 14 hits, 0 errors. And then when we had them on the ropes, we finally knocked them out. There were a couple times, we had a glancing blow here or there, but you finally land the uppercut and get in that bullpen and really kind of expose them, for lack of depth out there of arms. But listen, VCU's a good squad. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from them, or Sanford. And Sanford obviously played really well down the stretch. VCU wins the Atlantic 10. They were 16-14, and they go on a 22-game winning streak. It's incredible. They leave town now on a 2-game losing streak. But I got nothing but respect for those guys as players, man. They swing it really hard. They're always looking for the big inning. They just don't have enough pitching. So we knock off Sanford. We knock off VCU. Now we'll get a chance to play Campbell, and we're going to preview that a little bit later in the show. But, again, I think you take a full inventory here, and you feel good about where you are. And I had hoped that we'd be able to play on Sunday and wipe this thing out and be done with it and start resting and getting ready for next weekend. But, we don't have to travel if we win. So, it's just one of those things you look at. You'd like to have it done just to get that extra day of rest. But we get a day of rest today. It's not like we were around the ballpark all day, waiting on the meteorology reports to come in, that kind of stuff. And so we knew pretty early on we could just kind of crash, right? We just kind of chill, watch college baseball all day, and then get into bed and be ready to go play tomorrow. Unlike Campbell, Campbell gets done around 11:30 tonight, and then they got to get home, have some food at the hotel, and get a shower, check your phone, see what all you missed on Twitter, and then get into bed. They got to be back up there at 8:30. Right back up there at 8:30, get ready to roll. And so it's going to be a short night for them. It's going to be a short night for me too, but I'm not playing ball tomorrow. I can go sit there and drink coffee on one if I want to. But that's a very difficult stretch because you're going to have a well-rested team that you have to beat twice, and you had to go win an emotional ball game and get done around midnight and then have to be right back up, bright and early. And you say, well, they're college kids. Yeah, these are high-pressure situations, man. This isn't like, they're used to sleeping 4 and 5 hours a night. It's not that simple. I mean, their season is on the line. They woke up this morning thinking, if we go lose this ball game, this thing is over with. And now they get another shot. But there was a ball game tonight too. They were down. I mean, listen, they gave up a 4 spot. They come back and put up a 5 spot to go ahead. Next thing you know, man, it's like it's a 10-5 ball game, or 10-7 ball game, in favor of VCU. Then you rally back, you put up runs. I mean, so this is a team that scores runs in bunches, but they really don't have any pitching left. And again, we'll preview them a little bit later. But listen, it's been a good weekend. It has been. Let's get to the top 10 list today. How about that? Brought to you by the fine folks at JohnnyPacker.com. JohnnyPacker.com. You're looking for sunglasses? Look no further than JohnnyPacker.com. I've told you guys before, I like doing business with Bulldogs whenever possible. John and Brandon, Bulldogs. Absolute Bulldogs. Now listen, go to the website, and chances are when you get there, it's going to say sold out. But it's not really sold out. It's just difficult because the fact that you guys have been ordering so many sunglasses, sometimes you're faster than the inventory can update. So if you see frames that you like, and those frames are named after Mississippi towns, then just send them an email. There's a Contact Us link there. You can send it to them, and they can get those glasses to you right away. Because sometimes, when you got people involved and got a little side hustle here, sometimes it's difficult to get things updated in timely fashion. But don't let that deter you and say, you know what, I really wanted those Greenville frames, but they show sold out. Doesn't matter. They can get them for you. And we'll save you a little money, too, by being a loyal Boneyard listener. Use promo code Boneyard. They'll save you 10% on your purchase. How about that? JohnnyPacker.com, promo code Boneyard. Save 10% on your new sunglasses, and you guys are aware cystic fibrosis is a very big part of Johnny Packer's life. So a portion of every purchase goes directly to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. It's a donation. Now, you guys are happy about that. It's a really cool thing. So you're getting a great pair of glasses at a good price from great guys, and part of your money goes to a great cause. Okay, today's top 10 list, Jimi Hendrix. One of the best to ever do it. Bought a right-handed Fender Strat, strung it upside down, played it left-handed. Incredible. One of those guys that changed the direction of music, changed the direction of guitar playing, did some things with the guitar nobody had ever done before. And we talked about him in our Evolution of Rock series we did here a couple weeks ago. Jimi Hendrix, absolutely one of the best to ever play the guitar, and just really was part of that entire, trippy 1960s movement when music was really evolving in a different direction. At his heart, Jimi Hendrix is a blues player and singer. And I love all these tracks, man. I do. There's not a song on this list I say, well, maybe not. No. Not this one, man. Not this one. I really got into Hendrix when I was in college. You'd heard it all, as a kid. You hear it on classic radio, that sort of stuff. You hear your parents play that sort of stuff. But I really got into Jimi Hendrix when I was in college and found a love for his music, man, that I can't really explain. And it's one of those things, too, maybe there's all this, the mystery of Jimi Hendrix, and the way he died way too soon. Just so many things that happened in his life, too. It's almost like it was just kind of predestined he would be here a short time. But here are my top 10 favorite Jimi Hendrix song. I would suspect my number one track is not yours. I will share with you guys this, too. Gene Swindoll, Gene's page, Gene, his favorite Jimi Hendrix song is I Hear My Train A-Comin', which is a great one, but it's not on my list. It would be number one on Gene's list. It's not number one on mine. So there's a little Gene's page shout out for you there, too. All right, here's my top 10 Hendrix songs. You hear my trusty paper out there. Number 10, which in many respects I think was really one of the first rap songs. I don't know if this song ever really gets truly appreciated by this generation. It is a banger called Crosstown Traffic. You go back and listen to that and listen to the way they mic'd up the drums and how the rhythm section works there. It sounds like the basic bones of a rap song. And Jimmy's vocal delivery on that kind of lends credence to that thought. So Crosstown Traffic, an absolute great tune, man. Number 9, this is one, too, where I thought Jimmy, the guitar playing on this one is probably underappreciated. Everybody knows many of the bigger hits, but Manic Depression, I love the way this song opens and closes. I think Jimmy does a great job putting this thing together. And again, it's a personal track for him. It really is. Number 8, this is one of the more trippy songs on the list. It's If 6 Was 9. Love this one. Love how it opens up. You just feel like you're going on a trip. I mean, it really does. It's one of those, it really fit the psychedelic movement. Number 7, it's The Wind Cries Mary. I love the guitar on this one, too. And it's not, that's the thing about Jimmy, too, is like so much of his genius is enjoyed in the soloing and, the things he did with the guitar, the sounds that he made, the things that perhaps nobody else ever done. I think Jimmy was also an incredible rhythm player. I mean, just putting songs together composition-wise, forget all of the other stuff. Forget all the soloing and things like that. I mean, just the way he would put a song together, it's just a beautiful thing, man. And I think that's really shown in The Wind Cries Mary. Going back to the blues, man, number 6, and this should be a blues standard, to be honest with you. But it's Red House. And I've had other people think that this was a cover. It wasn't. This was written by Jimi Hendrix back in '66. It is an original song scored and written and sung by Jimi Hendrix. But it sounds like something from a different era. It does. It sounds like the Delta Blues. And I thought Jimmy is phenomenal. And I think he was probably underappreciated as a blues player. I think a lot of people look at this and say, well, he did all this stuff for the Star Spangled Banner and that sort of stuff, and that's all legendary. But I think the blues is what was really in Jimmy's heart, and I think that really came through in his music. And I think his blues standards are really some of the better tracks in his catalog. Number 5, and I'm probably a little bit guilty of having this one a little bit low. I know many of you maybe even have this number 1. But it's my show, and I got to speak from the heart here and tell you exactly how I feel about this. But Purple Haze is number 5 for me. And one of the reasons why I think it's a little bit overplayed, I think it's not that I hate the song, but I think it's one of those things, I just don't like it as much as some others. And maybe it's because I've had a little fatigue with it. But Purple Haze is one of those incredible songs that as soon as you hear it, you're not mistaking it for anybody else. You don't need a few seconds to figure out, hey, is this Hendrix? No, it's absolutely Hendrix. Number 4, another blues one, and my favorite blues song in the catalog. And I think one of the reasons why is because I can hear some pain in Jimmy's voice here. And it's Hey Joe. And it makes me wonder if this song is autobiographical. It makes me wonder if maybe perhaps that there is a personal connection with this, even if it's not autobiographical. If there's not somebody in his life that has been Joe. I think there is some vulnerability in his delivery, vocally, that really makes him come across as somebody that is not performing a song, but is perhaps opening his heart to us. Number 3, and it's the greatest moment in the Wayne's World movie, right? It's Foxy Lady. I absolutely love this song, and I love the bouncing rhythm of the guitar. You know, it's kind of unlike anything else on the catalog. But I dig it, and every time it comes on, I have to do the fox ears like Garth did in Wayne's World. Loved that song before, and I think Wayne's World made it even more lovable for me. Number 2, and many of you were exposed to this because of Hollywood Hogan with the NWO and wrestling. Many of you were exposed to this because perhaps you thought it was an original song by Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it's not. It's Voodoo Child. And it's one of those things, too, when you hear that opening riff, you hear how Jimmy just kind of comes in, just absolutely banging the walls here. You know exactly who you're listening to. To me, it is one of the classic rock songs of all time. It is not just a great Jimi Hendrix song. It is a song that is great, not just for this genre or for this decade. It is one of the best songs ever recorded. That's Voodoo Child. But number 1 for me, if I was ever to put a list together, you know, like what songs just really typify rock and roll? What's a real rock song? I mean, forget lyrical content. Just what's a hard-driving song that you get in and you can't help but turn it up and then put your foot on the gas. And it's Fire. Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire. And I love the percussion on this. It is just one of those songs, man, you look back and say, man, this thing is just absolutely perfect. So that's my list. And listen, I want to thank Randy for reaching out and asking me. I thought we had done Hendrix. And I think it's because Hendrix has been on some other lists, you know. But this is one of those that, I was really excited to do. Randy Pruce. Randy has been with me before. Randy has, Randy has shared some great ones with us. He has, we interact a lot. We talk, he will send me some ideas, has asked for several lists. And so, Randy, I appreciate you very much kind of jumping in here with this. He was one of the first to recommend Shine Down and Korn, Seven Dust, many others. But we went a little deeper this time, didn't we, Randy? We went all the way back to the great 1960s and one of the greatest guitar players in the history of the world, Mr. Jimi Hendrix. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart. We'll look around the rest of the tournament. You know, it's exciting. And listen, it's been the end of the road for some SEC guys, right? And I had somebody come up to me at Dirty Noble Field and said, hey, we just went and bought our regional shirts from the lovely, talented Susie. And she got really tickled by that. And then a little bit later, I ran into somebody else and said, hey, I just got back from Campus Bookmart, and I got to meet Susie. And you're right, she is lovely. You know what? That's the thing. I won't mislead you or tell you things that are untrue. Go by and see Standing Man, Miss Kathy Brown, and the lovely, talented Susie. That's the headliner right there. Go by and see them. Get your regional shirts. You can go by there and get them today. And you know what? Hopefully you'll have some super regional shirts to buy too. And that's, Mom, that saves you a little shopping, right? Because the kids want the regional shirt and a super regional shirt, and hopefully we'll be able to get some Omaha shirts. Hopefully. But whatever you need Mississippi State related, you can find at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that's BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That's right. And that'll get you free shipping on all orders over $50. Any order less than $50, absolutely incomplete. Again, that's campusbookmart.net, promo code BSR. All right, let's look around the tournament, okay? There's been some surprising results. All right, let's start at the top quadrant. Arkansas, number 1 seed. They get beat tonight. Nebraska takes them down, so there will be a winner-take-all game tomorrow. So NJIT and Northeastern both eliminated. Nebraska and Arkansas will play a winner-take-all regional final. The winner of that game will move on to Super Regional to play NC State. NC State wins the Louisiana Tech Regional. Tech made it interesting. They eliminated Alabama today, and an incredible ball game. If you watch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Tech and Alabama back and forth, goes down to the very end. Alabama has a winning run at the plate, and a guy hits an absolute bomb to right. The wind knocks it down. Tech catches it. It's over, but they get beat in the regional finals. So, again, NC State moving on to a super regional to await Arkansas or Nebraska. Moving down to Stanford there. Stanford, they're in a winner-take-all game against UC Irvine. I am an Anteaters fan. Would love for them to win that game because I love the fact that there are Anteaters in college baseball. North Dakota State and Nevada both eliminated. Not surprising at all. Everybody expected this thing to boil down to Stanford and UC Irvine. Now it's just a matter of who can get it together. Stanford has struggled with Game 3 pitching like many of us this year. So this will be a very entertaining ball game. The winner of that will move on to play Texas Tech, who swept through their regional. People expected that UCLA, including myself, UCLA would give them more of a challenge. They did not. Texas Tech goes in, no losses. They won their regional in 3 games. So congratulations to Coach Timmy Tadlock and the Red Raiders. All right, Arizona sweeps through their bracket as well. That eliminates Grand Canyon, Oklahoma State, and UC Santa Barbara. Again, that's the hipster. There's so many people that get so hyped up with these mid-majors out west, and none of these teams ever do much. So Arizona goes right on through there. Oklahoma State, a lot of people thought they would go in there and give the Wildcats some trouble. Some even picked Oklahoma State to win it. I have learned the hard way, like you guys have. Arizona, because of that coaching staff, they're always going to be hard and ready for the postseason. So Arizona sweeps through there. They will await the winner of the Oxford Regional. I know many of you have kind of kept up with this very, very closely. You know, the Ole Miss people have cried. It's incredible the way these people have cried, and it looks like they're not crying in vain because they're in trouble. So Florida State loses to Southern Miss in an elimination game. Southern Miss comes back, beats Ole Miss in a nightcap. I think I read some numbers earlier. This is like their 12th doubleheader this year, something because of the anomaly in their schedule, playing those 4-game weekends. So they beat Ole Miss, and Ole Miss out of pitching. I don't know what Southern's got left, but that Monday game between Ole Miss and Southern could be a church league softball game. It should be a lot of runs scored there, but sometimes you find somebody, man, this time of year you run into a pitcher that's having the game of his life and this career-making deal. But Ole Miss fans not happy in the least. They were all worried about Florida State, and it's Southern Miss that beats them. So that will be a winner-take-all game on Monday. East Carolina sweeps through their regional. They take care of Norfolk State and Charlotte and Maryland. I really thought Charlotte would make more of a game here. They didn't. ECU goes right on through. They will now play Vanderbilt in a super regional. Vanderbilt in big trouble tonight. Georgia Tech led most of the ball game. They get into extras. Georgia Tech was up 8-7 late, I guess in the 8th. Vandy hits a solo bomb to tie it. They get into the 11th. 3-2 count. Grand slam. So Vandy wins their regional in just 3 games and will play East Carolina. That's the left side of the bracket. Coming to our side, which is the best side, Texas sweeps through theirs. And listen, I'm glad that Fairfield got a win out there. Listen, Fairfield, especially those seniors, man, those guys have put together an amazing season, and I'm sure they felt disrespected all year because everybody in the college baseball media were like, hey, this is just an anomaly, and these guys don't deserve it. And maybe there's some truth in all that. But in many respects, they've been kind of discounted and disrespected. So I'm glad they were able to go win a game. Texas does sweep through there. And kind of sitting around waiting for some craziness to find them in the super. An absolute bloodbath down in Gainesville. Oh, my gosh. What a mess down there with Florida. Florida preseason number 1. first team eliminated from their regional, 0-2. Miami, the team that went up to and swept Florida to open that new ballpark, also eliminated. So South Florida is in the winner's bracket, and South Alabama, who absolutely destroyed Florida, was it 19-1 was the final? It's almost like silly to didn't care anymore. They got to beat South Florida twice. So the Jags have fought, and what a great run for South Alabama to eliminate both Florida and Miami, right? Put a poster on the wall, baby. I mean, that's listen, even if you don't advance, man, what a great weekend for those guys. Got a couple of helmet sticker wins over Florida and Miami. So good on you, Jags. But who knew, man? South Florida, one of the last teams in the field. South Florida in the driver's seat to get to a super regional in Austin, Texas. How about it, Bulls? All right, so Notre Dame sweeps through theirs. And listen, very impressive. And I'm still not a huge Notre Dame fan. But I will say this. I am impressed that they scored as much as they did. I really thought that Michigan would give them a little more trouble. And, yes, Michigan was the last team in the field. No magic this year for the Maize and Blue as there was in 2019. UConn, of course, wins a game or two up there. Wins a game, and then Central Michigan eliminates them. Notre Dame, just too much for Central Michigan. And I've read people, Notre Dame got snubbed. They didn't get snubbed. And I look forward to them coming down here. I hope that we will be able to play those guys next weekend. I'm eager to see what we do in a best 2 out of 3 against Notre Dame. I can promise you Notre Dame is not a better team than the top half of the teams in the SEC. I can guarantee you that. Mississippi State, of course, Samford's eliminated, VCU's eliminated. We'll play Campbell. And let me get through the bracket, and we'll go back and I'll tell you a few things I learned about Campbell by hanging out with their players, because there is no length that I will go for you guys, the Boneyard listener. TCU, the first national seed eliminated, as I mentioned earlier in the show, the 6th seed, now out of the tournament. Oregon State doing the honors there. Oregon State, Dallas Baptist played the first game of the regional final, and Oregon State wins that. So now it's a winner-take-all between Dallas Baptist and Oregon State. McNeese also eliminated earlier in the weekend. Dallas Baptist was in the driver's seat with 2 wins in the winner's bracket. Oregon State battles back. So strike up the Beavs, repping the Pac-12. They could be in a super regional, which they also would be seeing some chaos in many respects because of the fact that Old Dominion appears to be fading a little bit. The regional down in Columbia, South Carolina's eliminated. Kind of a heartbreaking deal, man. They had things rolling in control, hit a line drive back at the pitcher. He knocks it down, they turn double play, and it seemed like the game turned on that sequence. Virginia eliminates South Carolina and then comes back and beats Old Dominion. So those two will play in a winner-take-all game on Monday. It's not just us. There's going to be a lot of college baseball played on Monday, right? Out in Eugene, Oregon being pushed to the brink by the LSU Tigers. I know many people said, you know what, I don't think LSU deserves to be in. Listen, LSU could be in a super regional here in about 24 hours. It's crazy to think about. Gonzaga in the conversation to host, they were eliminated. Central Connecticut, they're eliminated. So it's down to Oregon and LSU. LSU wins game 1 of a regional final to force that winner-take-all tomorrow. Awfully, awfully interesting. Tennessee sweeps theirs without any trouble. And I know so many people were forecasting Duke to go in there and give Tennessee some trouble. I thought maybe they'd get a game. I didn't think they could win the regional like some other people did. But Wright State will have to live with heartbreak for a long time. Wright State ready to get that thing knocked out. Hits with a 3-run bomb to take the lead and then give up a grand slam, a walk-off grand slam to lose. It's incredible. I mean, it really is. And you hate it for those guys, man. You hate them. You're on the road, national seed. You got a chance to get a big W. They didn't get it done. Liberty ends up being the regional final team along with Tennessee. So again, we have only one super regional set, and that's Vandy and East Carolina. Everybody else still awaiting their competition. And then, of course, there are a handful that regionals still left to be filled out. So it's going to be a busy Monday, to say the least. So if you can't watch, You need to find a way to get your phone, kind of positioned somewhere in the office so you can kind of keep up with what's going on. It's going to be a crazy day in college baseball. I hope the craziness stays away from Starkville. A lot of worry about rain. But people were expecting it to rain all day on Sunday. It did not. Matter of fact, it poured this morning. But then we had some sprinkles, I guess, most of the day. And by the time we got to the ballpark, that had all dissipated. And then we were told that we weren't expecting any more rain until around 2 this morning. And that kind of held true. And now we're not getting that rain at 2 this morning. Now it appears that it's just supposed to be cloudy throughout the early morning hours, and now the rain's been pushed back to around 9. But again, rain in the forecast throughout the day on Monday. But we have a great meteorology department here at Mississippi State, and hopefully we're only playing one game, right? Hopefully the hope is we're going to play one game, not 2. So I don't know what we'll wake up to in the morning. The game is scheduled to go at 11. A lot of people involved in that decision-making process, but we'll see. I don't know how you can move the game up after the fact that Campbell, played so late into the night. There is a student safety issue involved there, and so many people have wondered what happens if we can't get the regional final play. Well, if that happens, Mississippi State advances. It's as simple as that. And, well, why, Steve? Well, Mississippi State number 1 is not only the highest seed. Mississippi State is the undefeated team in the regional. So the highest undefeated team advances with this number of games. So the only way Mississippi State is not going is if Campbell beats Mississippi State twice. And again, you have to have it wrapped up by Tuesday because the selections for the Supers are on Tuesday. When I mean the selections, they got to finalize locations for ones that perhaps are going to use a neutral site, but also too, to figure out who's going to play when. So let's take a look at Campbell real quickly here before we get into some recruiting stuff and get out the door. Campbell doesn't have much pitching left, but due to some insider information, I have some ideas for you. It is not going to be one of those games that is pitched like normal. It is probably, in many respects, going to be pitched like a midweek game as a Johnny Holstaff deal, right? So looking at some of these numbers here, I'm going to go off some of the things that I was told. So, looking at the pitchers, there were a couple guys. They said, "Hey, this guy could probably throw. This guy could probably throw." You had going back to Friday was not a good day for Campbell pitching, and they jump on them early, and the next thing you know, they're off to the races. And then, to their credit, their coach kind of had a decision to make. It's like, we're going to expect to get to a regional final, so we can't just throw everybody out there. We got to take our lumps and then live to fight another day, which is what they've done. But Thomas Harrington was the starter in that ball game and got absolutely smoked. It is, and I hate it, man, for these young people. But one of the biggest games of your life, and you just really don't have a good showing. But Thomas Harrington goes 1 inning, and then they get into the second, and he does not retire a hitter. All told, his line, 1 inning pitch, 4 hits, 7 runs, all earned, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 3 hit by pitches, 11 batters faced. Gets just the 1 ground out, and an abysmal start. And so it's already a 7-0 game before you have a chance to kind of pull some guys in. They threw a lot of guys late just to kind of burn this game up, but you're just trying to manage the game there. You're not trying to win anymore. It's just one of those things you look at and say, you know what, this is just not our day. Let's live to fight another one, and they have. Now they're in the regional final. There is a chance they'll bring Harrington back. That's one of the things that I was told tonight, real possibility that could happen. And even if he gets you through the order just the one time, because he only threw, let me look at the numbers here. They don't have the number of pitches reported, but I believe it's about 30 pitches. He didn't pitch much because he's hitting people and they were hitting him. And so they got him on out of there. But he would be available to pitch some on Monday. So looking down here at some of these pitching numbers here, again, kind of run it down. Cam Cowan is a guy that I'm told that could pitch. I remember that correctly. A lot of guys on – oh, no, I'm wrong there. It's Cade Kuehler. That's the name. Cam is the one that's injured. So Cade Kuehler is a guy that we should see tomorrow. Now, if my memory serves me correct, he has not pitched much this weekend, but is 5-2 on the year with a 3.89 ERA with 8 starts. He has kind of been a spot starter for them. But that's the two names that were mentioned to me, Thomas Harrington, that we should see, and then Cade Kuehler. A lot of people are expecting him to be in the mix, but talking to the coach after the ball game, it's just they fully expect them to have to just kind of piece this thing together and try to find a way to manage 9 innings of baseball. And I don't know what would happen, if they have to play a second game. I'm sure they're not either, but they're not even thinking game 2. They're just thinking let's win the first one, and then we'll kind of figure these things out. But listen. It's a great good group of guys, man, and I've really enjoyed getting to know some of these guys and kind of being around them. They're kind of in awe, I guess, of the stadium, but after playing a few days, now we're just kind of down to baseball. Now it's not about how great the facilities are. It's about, we find a way to have a winning day on Monday. We're going to be in a super regional for the first time in our history, which is incredible to think about. And looking back at the Sanford numbers, too, because I was just trying to look and see, how much these guys may have pitched there in game 2. They have thrown so many guys. They've even thrown Zach Neto. They got some two-way guys too that have pitched some before that they will use some of those guys as well. So don't be surprised if you see somebody trot in from right field or go over from shortstop and get on the bump, because again they're just trying to get outs here. But Cade Kuehler threw just 17 pitches against Sanford, just 17 pitches. Faces a couple hitters here. Faces 3 hitters, gives up a hit, 2 walks, 17 pitches. But he hadn't pitched much, so we may see him. But they have thrown a lot of arms. Between, I think the number's 417 pitches between them and VCU on Sunday night. A lot of wear and tear. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. It doesn't matter who they throw. Mississippi State should be prepared and good to go. This is a non-conference opponent that is very, very thin, pitching ordinarily. Had a couple of guys this year they were expected to be weekend guys, got injured. One's had to have Tommy John. Another one is just kind of coming back. So they're very, very deep into the pitching roster before they get to Starkville, Mississippi. And they've already had to find a way to kind of manage themselves, through some difficult ball games. So they lose the first one, win the second one, win the third one. They got to win 5 to get out of here. And I just don't think that's realistic. I think Mississippi State being rested and coming back and, probably going to score a lot of runs tomorrow. The main thing for Mississippi State is we can't go out there and walk people and have hit by pitches and errors. We've got to continue to play clean baseball. If we don't help them, I think Mississippi State wins the first game. We kind of move on with life, and we get ready to go to the bookstore downtown at Bookmark Cafe for a launch party 5 to 7. That's going to be an important part of life for me. And I hate to be selfish, but I don't want to have to play a winner-take-all game against anybody, whether I'm releasing a book or not. Let's just go ahead and handle business and get it done. That's big. Just get it done. And I just don't think Campbell's got enough left. I think these last couple of elimination ball games have really taken a lot out of them. But man, those guys can score some runs. That's the thing that I think about is every time that you think they're out, they find a way to keep going. 16-13 winners over Sanford, and that game went down to the final pitch. Sanford had bases loaded with 1 out. And they roll up a 6-4 3-double play ball. But it's been insane to look at these numbers and see how well these guys hit the baseball. Now, granted, they're not facing SEC pitching, but we're going to throw some guys out there that are not our frontline pitchers either. So we got to have to come ready to play. But I just don't think Campbell's going to have enough to kind of keep us off the base paths, and it's really not going to be about what they do, but about what we do. We got to find a way to take care of ourselves. We got to find a way to go out there and swing the bats and not give them free bases and free outs. All right, talk to Brooks Bryan at the ball game tonight. Brooks is in town. He'll be at the ball game Monday morning. And I hope that you are too. But Brooks tells me that, hey, you know what? Phase 2 for construction for Portico, just got the permits to get all that underway. Moving some dirt, getting some rows built. We're getting ready to go, man. Only a couple of houses left in phase 1. I know many of you are thinking, you know what, Steve? I've been thinking about making a move to Starkville. Look no further, man, in Portico. It's great, man. I mean, you owe it to yourself, even if you're not ready to talk to a real estate agent, even if you're not ready, to go, fill out a 1003 residential housing application. When you're in town, maybe you're coming to Super Regional this weekend, maybe you're coming to ball game tomorrow, right out there and look for yourself. You're going to be amazed, man. It's a great place. You come in off 82 on a 12, so it's not some major detour, right? You're going to the ball game. Take a few minutes. Take that turn right there at Pat Station Road. Cross over Old West Point. And then there's Portico. I mean, guys, it's 1.1 miles from campus. I mean, you owe it to yourself to go check it out. Newest construction. Got houses for fit every need. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 4-bedroom, 4-bath. For a growing family, for a retiring family. Whatever you want, man. I got it. Got that great walking trail. You can get out there and cook some ribs and get out there and walk around, walk those calories off. It's going to be wonderful. But the best thing about it, man, is you're right there at Mississippi State. I mean, you didn't just move to Starkville, to be close to Walmart. You moved to Starkville to be close to Mississippi State. Hey, it's so much more convenient to get in and out of here. That's the drawing card to Starkville is Mississippi State. 1.1 miles from campus. You can't beat it. Give my friend, your friend, Mississippi State baseball's friend, Brooks Bryan, a call. I got a chance to tell my friends from Campbell, hey, this guy robbed a home run against Washington to send us to Omaha. So even maybe if you're just kind of on the fence about, maybe now's not the time, give Brooks a call, and he will kind of bring you up to speed on what's happening, when the next things are going to be available, and also, too, talk to you a little bit about what it means to wear the M over S and go to Omaha. How about that? Great, great stuff, man. Absolutely love the fact that we've been able to partner for you guys for this. But give Brooks a call at 601-416-8075. Again, that's 601-416-8075. So we did have some recruiting news over the weekend. Not a huge surprise, but Don Terry Russell, 4-star defensive end out of Provine High School in Jackson, the younger brother of DeMonte Russell, commits to Mississippi State. Now, we've been talking about that on genespage.com for quite a while. Shared that with you guys on the show. Told you he's probably the next commitment. There was some discussion he may do it at Big Dog Camp. He did. So that's the only one. We weren't expecting a lot of commitments. We weren't pushing for a lot of commitments because you got to remember, it's the first time your coaching staff have seen these players in person. So now you put them through drills, you work them out, you go back, look at your film, begin to make some evaluations, then you start handing out some offers. So, again, State right where we need to be, probably a little bit overvalued as a recruiting class right now. And you say, Steve, how could you say that? Well, I'm just because of the fact that it's still relatively early. But listen, let's enjoy the fact that a lot of people said Mike Leach and his crew weren't going to be able to recruit. And they are. They are able to recruit. I think it's surprising a lot of people. Let me pull up these numbers here. I just want to put this in perspective for you guys. Mississippi State, ordinarily we are a 20 to 25 recruiter. Sometimes in a great year when there's a lot of talent in state, we'll do better than that. Maybe we get in the top 20. I believe this class will end in the top 20. We won't end up there around top 10. That's not going to happen. But I think we'll end in the top 20. I think we'll be maybe solid in the high teens there. So as it stands today, the Mississippi State signing class after the addition of Dante Russell, we have the number 9 recruiting class in America. Number 9. That is rarefied air for Mississippi State football recruiting. Again, we're not going to stay there, okay? But we're in good position right now. We're in a great position right now, and we've added another 4-star. And that's the thing you look at and say, you know what? We're number 9 in the country with 2 4-stars. And we're going to be adding some others. Feel really good about Hurst. Bryson Hurst down there, offensive lineman at Gaucher. Based on what I understand, Mississippi State is number 1 with a bullet. He will take in a camp at Florida State and then move towards a decision. I was told there's a possibility he might even cancel that visit to Florida State. But I believe now that's going to happen. But that'd be another 4-star that kind of gives you some staying power in the top 20 of the recruiting rankings. Then you start thinking about Stone Blanton. That's a guy too. Guy to grow up a Bulldog. Believe Mississippi State's going to add him, sometime here in the next couple months. I don't think that's too far-fetched to think that he'll be a Bulldog before the season starts. I think it's probably the expectation now. Another 4-star guy. You look at Xavier Harris, Germantown. Feel really good about him. He's got some people close to him that said, hey, they reminded him, hey, look at what Mississippi State has done developing defensive linemen. Look at what they've done. You want to go to the NFL? That's probably a good place to go. It's reasonably close to home. You're going to play in a major conference, and you're going to play at a school that has a pedigree of producing NFL-quality defensive linemen. Xavier Harris, in good spot with Mississippi State right now. From what I'm told, things couldn't have gone better over the weekend. So we feel really good about that. Again, that's on the 4-star guy, right? So you start beginning to look at this thing, and you realize it's not inconceivable at all to think State can hang on and stay in the top 20. And you say, well, Steve, I think maybe you're discounting our class a little bit. Maybe I am. I'm just kind of preparing you for the fact that we're not going to stay in the top 10 because there's going to be some other teams, these 5-stars beginning to commit and that sort of stuff. I don't want you to panic and say, oh, we're dropping. No, that's to be expected. We're not going to maintain that position. But, man, it's fun to be there right now. But it's not about where you start. It's where you finish. We finish up somewhere around 17, 18. I'm going to be thrilled, absolutely thrilled, because the years that we do well are years that we have a good crop in state. And so I think, obviously, with Mike Leach, in this staff, who I've become more and more impressed with as recruiters, I have had so many people that mention Matt Brock to me as a guy that does a great job. And so you got Brock, you got Zach Arnett working Stone Blanton. That's great. Alabama commitment Jaheim Otis was here on Friday, right? He's 110% committed, but he went to camp to Mississippi State, and he plans to take visits too. Tony Hughes, Jeff Phelps on him, 100%. Tony's not going to give up on a 4-star kid in South Mississippi in June, right? So, yeah, we're in good spots right now, and we're in a great spot with other players to add to this class. This is not a situation, and this is like we had it with Joe back in 18. It's like, we got off to a great start. We couldn't sustain it because we didn't have a lot of targets out there to kind of sustain the class, to really push us into the top 20. That's where things are different this go around. We have enough available prospects and scholarships to work with that should keep us in the top 20. And you begin to compare it to what we had last year. Remember, in top 25, and you've got a handful of transfers, and even counting recruiting rankings. So, again, they're still going to play football, right? Whether they don't have any stars next to their name or not, they're still going to play football. Jalen Green, former 5-star, he's going to play football at Mississippi State this fall. So I'm really excited about where we are. I'm really excited about what's next. And listen, you guys, I think there's so many great things happening for us right now in sports. It's like we had such a rough time in the winter months, right? We lose the golden egg, which always sucks. I don't care what year it is. I don't care what the situation is. When we lose the golden egg to those guys and we got to listen to that for a year, it stinks, man. It does. We had a bunch of injuries, had Kyle Hill opt out, but we ended the season on a strong note, right? We ended the year winning a couple ball games down the stretch. We beat a very good Missouri team. We won a bowl game. Then we had some up and downs in men's basketball, and many of us, including myself, said, I don't know if it's going to work out with Ben. But down the stretch, I thought Ben Howland did the best coaching job he's done at Mississippi State. We had a bunch of struggles with women's basketball, and when all that was happening at the same time, it's like, my gosh, everything is rotten around us. We had a losing season in football. We're stinking in men's and women's basketball. We had to go hire a new coach in women's basketball, and it's like we're losing our edge. But now all of a sudden you look at it and say, okay, well, wait a minute now. I don't know if there's anybody can claim a better offseason with the portal than Mississippi State on the men's or the women's side. And, yeah, I get it. That's only recruiting. We want to see production, right? Let's just be fair about it. Listen, I'm excited about these players, but I got to see it on the court, like all of you. But there is room for optimism. I know a whole lot more about the men's prospects than I do the women's, but I'm excited about the fact that, we had a couple of coaches that need to have a big year this year. And I think both of them came out swinging and did a good job in the offseason, securing some players that can come in and play right away. Softball had some struggles, and then we get hot down the stretch and become the talk of the SEC tournament, and then we end up going to a regional. You know what? Probably should expect more from that, when you got Mia and Fa, right? But the fact that our coaching staff was able to keep those young ladies engaged when things are really going bad for us and turn that thing around gives me some hope for next year. And I do think Samantha Ricketts is the right coach. I think there's some leadership qualities there that have to be appreciated. Listen, I don't know a lot about softball, but I know about managing people. And I know when things are going right and people quit on you. I know when you're not winning, people check out on you. I know when you're, when you're hanging up a bunch of losses in routes, people will begin to kind of lose faith in you as a coach. But that's not what happened. I'm just looking at the evidence. Down the stretch, we were as difficult to beat as anybody in the country. Ask Ole Miss. Then I look at this baseball thing, and we're like, hey, we've had some. I remember after that Arkansas sweep. I mean, it's like, is this just going to be a mediocre year for us? This is going to be one of those years that we're just kind of lucky to get in a regional somewhere. Maybe we win a game or two and we come home. That's just beneath our expectations, right? But we battled back, beginning to find some things. And all of a sudden we're getting excited, and it's like you look up and all of a sudden we're a game away from a super regional against the Notre Dame team that I think most of us still believe is overrated, even though they had a big weekend. And so now I begin to think about this in linear terms, and I think, we're 3 games away from Omaha. What? Yeah, we're 3 games away from Omaha. Simple as that. We go on a little win streak here in the postseason, and we haven't lost a game in a new dude yet in the postseason. So here's what I know is going to happen. We win that ball game tomorrow. Let's say we win the regional tomorrow, and we should. We fully expect to. I know exactly what Mississippi State fans are going to do next week. We're going to turn out, and we're going to have Dudy Noble Field as the preferred destination for college baseball fans in the country. It is going to be an incredible weekend. People thought the Stanford weekend was great. Just wait. Just wait. We'll be rocking again. And I can't wait for it. It'll be next year before I get to go out and do it and hang with you guys again out in the lounge. But you know what? We can go hang out in Omaha on a day off too, right? So let's get behind this team. Let's get excited. I know many of you can't make the game on Monday. If you can, please do. But if for some reason you can't, and if you hear of any Bulldogs, please make your tickets available to others. We want as many Bulldogs can get there as they possibly can. Team needs you to be there. And it's not going to be the same on a Monday morning. It's just not. And morning baseball hadn't been great for us. So let's turn out and show out. I know there's some Bulldogs that have reached out and said, hey, Steve, I'm going to be off. I was able to get off to go to the ball game on Monday. I look forward to that too. I look forward to seeing you guys, man. I do. I love it when you guys are here. I love when we got big events like this that unite us. I don't like controversy. I know people think, well, Steve, you've done so many things in life and wrote so many articles and, broke some news, good, bad, and different. I like it when there's harmony. I really do. I don't mind getting my nose dirty a little bit, but at the same time, too, I love the days when we can just enjoy college athletics. I really do. I don't think there always has to be some type of conspiracy thing we got to dig into. I mean, there's always room for improvement stuff, but I'm not a guy that always just wants to go look for trouble. I like it when we can kind of just celebrate the fact that we're winning. And so let's go win a regional today, and then let's go get ready to go play Notre Dame. That's what we wanted. I think we've got a great path to Omaha, and I'm eager to get there. I'm eager to get back. I miss it, man. I really do. All right, listen, reminder too, book release party, provided we don't play a second game on Monday, book release party will be at Book Martin Cafe Monday evening 5 to 7 in Starkville, Mississippi. So Main Street in Starkville, Book Martin Cafe, 5 to 7 Monday night. So I'm banking on the Bulldogs winning this morning game. I'm going to cover the game, and then I'm going to head down to the Book Mart, and we're going to sign some books, and I'm going to do a reading at 6. And it's just going to be kind of difficult for me because I've never really shared these things publicly. And your heart's in this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different deal. So I think so many of you that have reached out and said, hey, I'm buying the book and excited about having it. It means a lot to me. If you want the other books, you can buy them at Book Martin Cafe, or you can go to alphadogsthebook.com and you get personalized copy. Father's Day's coming up. It is time for you to take care of your dad. And many of you say, you know what? I've already got my dad one. Well, get all the dads in your life one. How about that? You can get Flim Flam, Starkville ones, and Alpha Dogs right there at alphadogsbook.com. And maybe Dad needs a new shirt. Go to starkvillains.com and you can get the Stark Villains gear. Handled by the fine folks at Deep South Pal. That's going to do it for today, or should I say this morning. I got a couple things I got to do before I get into bed. We'll get a few hours sleep. We'll get up, be on the Bo Bound Show, and then we'll be headed to Dirty Noble Field and looking to win a regional. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.
If you have a family relying on your income, you need life insurance. But finding the best quote shouldn't take a lifetime. That's where Policy Genius comes in. In minutes, Policy Genius could save you 50% or more simply by comparing quotes from America's top insurers. Once you apply, the Policy Genius team handles all the paperwork and red tape. To save on life insurance and get protection for you and your family, head to policygenius.com today.